All right, guys, good afternoon. Welcome aboard to the aftermarket recap. My name is Carlos Garcia, founder and CEO of G.A.R Capital. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to join me today and every afternoon, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here on the G.A.R Capital YouTube channel. Before we begin, bottom right-hand corner of your screen, little white logo. Click on that, turn notifications, subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Make sure to click that like button, that thumbs up. If you like these videos, share it with anyone who you may think will like it. Comment any of your questions. We're here to help in every way possible. Thanks again. Appreciate your time. Let's get right to it. The Dow jumped today 596 points, erasing the loss. Stocks erased the loss from Tuesday, basically. NASDAQ gained 1.62%. S&P gained 1.86%. The VIX fell 7.74% at 3074. Equal weight S&P up 2.13%. IWM also, which is small caps, up 2.38%. The dollar index fell slightly. Yields finally bouncing back up today, 158 basis points after being down nearly that much just yesterday actually. So again, a nice retrace of the loss on yields. Financials benefited. I talked about that this morning. Gold is up was down 1% on GLD 179.73, SLV 23.37 down 0.72%. I can bring up SLV here, and you can see it's still within trend, bouncing up a little bit, kind of a little bit of a double top. It could break that, especially with any kind of news that may come out from Europe. High yield credit caught some bids today, up 0.24%. Investment grade bonds fell pretty hard, down 1.5%. Let's take a look here at crude oil. Crude oil continued to rise. I was talking about that on Instagram today. We'll go over that here in a bit. They were up 7.73%, $111.40 a barrel. Gasoline futures, $3.35, up 8.58%. And Bitcoin did break 45,000 earlier today, but rejected 44,175 on Bitcoin. Ethereum 29.83. I believe the Bitcoin and crypto run begins now. Once we broke that 45,000, as long as we can sustain above it, the trend is up. Of course, I'm still holding. Nothing has changed. Okay, so let's kind of go over the first things first. I want to go over crude oil and why I closed my XOP position. XOP, if you guys have been following us for a while, Investment Club is a chat that I personally talk to the members on. It's part of our masterclass service, and it's also a standalone service. So we usually don't do swing trades in terms of Investment Club, but this one was too juicy to let behind. So looking at, let's go ahead and bring up crude here. Crude oil, this is literally almost a 30-year chart, possibly like 27 years. I put it on weekly candles so you can actually see where we are. And I talked about this on Instagram. So 115.30, 115.32 is that resistance right there. Granted, the only time we had higher oil prices above that was really in 2008. Again, financial crisis, right in July. And then what happened? You could see right here a rejection, a near rejection. This is right in 2014, and then we fell off a cliff. So again, you're talking about crude oil has ran in 2 days just about 17% in 2 days. That's not sustainable for a commodity. That may be for an aggressive growth stock. I guess like kind of the meme stocks, we've seen that, and that doesn't last forever either. But it definitely not in oil. And again, I understand that everyone's thinking, well, Carlos, oil's going to go to 200. It doesn't work that way. Usually what you get is a big volatile run up, and then you get a rejection of some kind of resistance. Our call is 115.32. So again, I'm not saying that oil falls tomorrow, but again, you need to take profits on these kind of moves because they don't last. Look at XOP. My target was 106. I closed it right around 123, Nick. What was that closing level? I forget the level that I closed at. Let me see if I can get that for you. Let me go in Discord. I have it here. We closed at 122.85. So about $1.30 above where it is. Currently, I've made some profit, right about 24% or so. I want to say, what was the 24.2% gain on a stock trade, basically holding since July. So if you guys want to see exactly where we held from, we can go ahead and bring that up on a 3-year chart, and you could see July 2021 was right here. July 1st is when we did it. This is CL. This has to be wrong because there's no way that, oh, that's 2020. July 2021 was right here, right around 74. We had that break. We went ahead and went long, and we caught that rise. Crude oil throughout that time from July 1st until today, where we closed XOP, did gain about 55%. Now that got us right around 24.2 on XOP. So again, it's very difficult to trade long-term options or long-term futures on crude oil because it closes every month. So you'd have to keep rolling and rolling, and that costs you money. So again, we did XOP, which is the refiners, with the assumption that crude was going to get to $100 a barrel. I've been saying that on our morning notes for months now, since last July. That was our target. We finally broke above it. We're 11% above it. It's time to take some profits and be prudent. But the good news is that I did give some guys some options on Investment Club. Here are some of the options I told them. I said you could take out your initial investment, whatever you put in first, and you let the profits ride, which is totally okay. And then B, you can always cash out, which I did. I went ahead and just got out. And then C, keep and hold the stop loss right at 110. So again, 110 would probably be your stop loss. If that hits, that hits. If we get a continuation tomorrow or throughout the week or more, that's fine too. But the idea is to lock in some gains, is which I did. I went ahead and sold it off. So great trade by Investment Club that took some months to get there. Took us about 8 or 9 months to get where we needed to be. I think right around 9. So well done, team. It took a lot of patience, and sometimes, like I always say, good things sometimes take time. So let's go over here on S&P futures. Again, that's something I talk about every day. 4,400 is that key level, guys. We've kind of tapped it now twice. So right now we're kind of testing that initial break of 43.71. As long as this holds, really 43.41, your 50-day on your hourly is your next hold level. If it doesn't, then you're going to get back down to around 42.75, and then that's some puts. But we have non-farm payroll report today. We have Powell speaking tomorrow in front of the Senate. So let's see what he has to say. We'll keep an eye on everything as always. But again, nice move today. All we did was really just make back the losses from Tuesday, the Tuesday session. Are we above Monday's cash session? Right at 9. We are pretty much back where we were on Monday in terms of S&P futures. We're break even. 3 days of action, and we're back at break even in terms of the S&P. Welcome to the market. So here we go. Let's answer some questions. George says, good afternoon, Carlos. Do you know what's up with Google? Why it's having a hard time going up after the stock split announcement? Shouldn't have the rally after such announcement. It's not as simple as having a rally right after the announcement. Keep in mind that we had a lot of things going on in terms of geopolitical stuff, inflation, and what have you. I think Google is still a great company to own, but let's go ahead and break it down here. And let's take a look at the sectors on why things moved the way they did. Interest rates were higher. Again, taking a look at a totality of the market, the NASDAQ did underperform the S&P and the Dow. The Dow has a little more in terms of value names, energy, banks, what have you. So it's not as technology centric the way the NASDAQ is. So again, you can see Google, Amazon underperformed today, but yet Apple, Microsoft, Facebook did well today. Tesla did well today. NVIDIA and the semiconductors rallied today very nicely. Even the banks, again, I talked about that bounce in yields. Banks did well today. Wells Fargo, JPM. I have a JPM call and I have a Wells Fargo call. Wells Fargo's for in 2 weeks from now. JPM is for this weekend, for this Friday, and we are up. I think currently, around 7% on that trade. But again, looking at Google, I would say 2,500, 2,492 is my buy level. We could definitely get there. I mean, there's a lot of moving parts here. On S&P futures, we could literally get to around 4,500 and reject and get us back down to 4,250 and then get us back to the long. But it really depends on a lot of factors. Inflation, how does the central bank move in terms of raising rates? Powell said that's 25 basis points that he wants to do in March. So the market did cheer that. So again, it's a lot of stuff that we don't know in the future. I think we get above 4,400. I think we get to around 4,454 by next week, latest, in my opinion. And then right there, we're just kind of hold. But that was a big move today to break above 43.71 to test 4,400. So let's see what we get there. What SMA do I use? I use the 100, the 200, and the 50, and sometimes the 20, just to kind of keep it short case scenario. But George, to answer George's question regarding Google, again, Google is a great company. Again, unless you're planning to retire this year, you really don't have to worry about Google. It's a great company with great cash flow. You want to own them long term. So is it safe to buy crypto? Sorry, I missed half of what you said regarding crypto breaking 45K. It's not about being safe, but again, you could see the downward trend almost kind of ending here. So unless this is a major double top here, which could possibly be on futures, let's go ahead and expand here. And you could see based on this kind of, let me see if I can cancel this fib. I can go ahead and retrace and remove the drawing. We could do a fresh new Fibonacci retracement level. Again, don't depend on everything on here. I'm going to go from the bottom at 3120, and I'm going to go as high as 69,355. And you can see we're breaking above the 38.2 or the 61.8 fib, whatever you want to call it. Depends on how you flip it. So again, we're on the enemy territory, let's just say, on the opposite side of the field, to bring that football analogy. The next target, 45,000, obviously was rejected. The question is now, do we get a continuation? If I go ahead and bring this up, let's go and just grade up on a daily chart. I'll go ahead and change this up. Let's do a time frame of about 3 years on a daily. And I know there's a lot of lines on the screen. Let me see if I can cancel these lines out. Okay, I'm gonna have to mess with that later. But here's what you're really looking at. Again, you really want to look at the patterns here. You can see pretty well defined channel down. You could see that. We can go from here as well. You can see a pretty well defined channel. Again, it's not perfect, but again, downward and a breakout, retested that support about 36,000 and broke above it. So really what you're looking for is really 50,000. 45,000 was my first level. It did break above that. But at the end of the day, 50,000 would say a lot. 53,000 would get us a stone's throw to all-time highs. So let's say if you want to say the word safe or safer, 53,000 to 724 would be the safer play. But you can always just kind of wait around until then, or just hold whatever you've got. If you want to get out of Bitcoin, I would target 50,000 and just sell it. You'll probably be at profit unless you literally bought at all-time highs, which is completely fine. A lot of people did that. But again, it's going to be one of those things, just wait and see approach. I thought we were going to get 100K last year. We didn't. I'm expecting 100K this year. Again, you can only be wrong so many times, right? I mean, I'm only human. But again, I'm still holding my Bitcoin. I'm still holding my crypto, waiting for us to bounce. And again, you can see this consolidation here on a daily chart, and then we'll wait for a break to 53.74. What's up, Carlos? Thoughts on the 10-year coming back, possibly helping the banks, possible 10-year levels? Absolutely. Let's take a look at that. Don't worry, George. I saw your question. Let's go ahead and go over that next. Let's go bring up a daily chart on TNX. And you can see, again, as long as we stay above 1.7, that was the support, which was previous resistance, 1, 2, 3, 4 times that we rejected. That resistance finally broke out. That's a quad top in a sense, if you want to call it that. Remember, we've had double bottoms before. We had triple bottoms before on TNX. TNX is the treasury index that I use on TD Ameritrade. But again, that new support right around 1692 was bouncing. I think we're going to get above around 1.93, maybe hover around there for a little bit, but that definitely will help the banks. I'm very bullish on the banks. I own Goldman Sachs and I own JPM. I love them long term. They're great holds. Bank of America's fine too. I'm not a fan of Wells Fargo personally, but their price action is great. I just hate to invest in companies that I personally don't like or don't want to use personally. So, but yes, I consider unless we have more geopolitical uncertainty in terms of some real ugly stuff happening in Ukraine, treasury yields are going to keep going higher. And the only thing that would change that is if we get a real slam in the market and yields will fall with it. A lot of bond buying will take place. So we'll keep that in mind as we watch the next developments in Europe. What do you think about Roblox puts? All right, I do own some Roblox stock and I like it. So again, I'm pretty happy. But again, if you want to buy puts, that's cool. But what I do puts here, a break of 43, possibly, maybe 45, I would. But actually, there's a gap to fill on the daily right around 66. I say that we'll fulfill that 66 gap from that earnings first before you start getting more downside below 45. The path of least resistance is probably higher to 66. If anything, I would probably look for calls, my man. Can you do a quick run through of your studies? Yeah. So the studies I have is pretty simple. Again, I use Fibonacci levels. Again, don't depend on them for everything. It's just kind of a roadmap. But for the most part, I use really 3 main moving averages. Your red line is your 200. Your yellow line is your 50-day. Your blue line is your 100-day. And then I have a 20-day just for shorter term. I want to see where ES does in the shorter term, like on the hourly chart. That's really where I use the 20-day moving average. Again, I don't think the 20-day is that super important. But again, it's something that I like to see. I don't use RSI much. If you want to take a look at RSI, we can do that. It's very simple to add. We go to moving, we'll go to studies. We'll go to momentum studies. We go to RSI. Oops, Of course, I did the wrong one. So let me go ahead and take away this study. See if I can take away this study here. Studies, edit studies. I can go ahead and take away this and then apply. That's removed. I go to studies again. My apologies. This mouse isn't the best sometimes. Momentum studies. We'll go to RSI again, which is a relative strength indicator. Again, 70 above 70 is overbought. At 30 is oversold. This is where we were looking at calls right at 29.99. 30 bounced pretty much. We're right still on the oversold territory, kind of in the negative territory as we still have a little more to go. If we wanted us to get to 70, again, that would kind of get us to right around 45.87. So that's pretty much your resistance. 45.50 or 4,500 is where I'm looking at. Thoughts on some PayPal swings for April? PayPal this week was a tough one. I bought some calls. They didn't work out. I'm still holding them. Again, kind of just that ugly price action that just mows you down. But again, we just got to see what tomorrow brings. It hasn't been really moving much. It's just been holding that 100-day. And we had a nice break above 112, and then it just rejected, and that's where we are, unfortunately. In terms of PayPal for swings for April, you're going to pay a lot of money for it. More than likely, you maybe not have to deal with any kind of earnings at that point. We just had earnings in February, so at least you're clear on that end. But there is a gap to fill in the upside. There's a lot of gaps to fill upside on these names. So again, 169.03 can definitely come on PayPal. Again, that's going to be a long trek ahead. You're talking about a $63 move. That's not going to happen overnight. So PayPal doesn't have the best price action right now. I'd probably just wait it out in terms of that. If you're bullish on PayPal, I'd rather you nibble on some stocks, stock shares, and hold it that way and just kind of deviate from the volatility of holding the actual calls itself. Let me go ahead and remove this study. There you go. So that's where we are. Again, I am definitely pivoting to more being a crude bear than anything else. 115.32 is my call. Once we get there, it's going to reject, in my opinion. I think we get back down. We'll probably get down to around 80 or so, or 85. Let's go ahead and see what we get. So again, you'll get a reprieve at the stock pump pretty soon. There's a lot of tools at the disposal of OPEC to fuck it up, let's just say, because what they always do is they overpump, they overdrill, and they create oversupply. Right now, they're at a point, do we make more money or do we keep things the way they are? Again, imagine you're a nation that produces oil. That's the moneymaker for you. You know, in the Middle East, South America, what have you. You have to pay these bills, especially for COVID or social programs. You're going to have to drill more. Damn what OPEC says. And that's usually the case. Once we start getting to around 100 or so, again, take a look at the charts. Look how long ago this is. You're talking about since 1995. Again, not very often do we have $100 a barrel oil. That's more of a deviation from the mean. What is the mean if we go ahead and spread this out? Right around $80 to $60 a barrel seems to be the average that we get, and that seems to be right at normal where we want to be. 115.32 again is my level for support. If that does break it, then 126.70 or so. Again, could we get to 150 or 200? Yes, but highly unlikely. Granted, some kind of horrific Armageddon type nuclear war thing that is very unexpected. So again, you can have all the analysis in the world, but the market is never wrong. Always remember that. And you really can't prepare for anything, for everything, but you can prepare for anything. Remember that. All right, guys, we'll leave it there. Have a great rest of your afternoon. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to join me. We'll catch you guys tomorrow for the morning note, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Have a great Wednesday evening, and we'll catch you guys tomorrow. Cheers.